To be honest, if we were chasing views, we probably should have said this at the very start of the video, because it is the spicy thing. Welcome back, everyone. So, Overwatch 2 has had its big reveal event. We now essentially know what's going on with the game. On the one hand, we actually have a lot of tremendously good news, relatively speaking, but there is, of course, a little bit of a drama with the Watchpoint edition of the game. Some of that is essentially selling beta access. Another is how it's very strange to people who already happen to own Overwatch 1. And of course, a few other things as well. As an example, loot boxes, those are gone. Is their replacement going to be better? Well, today we're going to find out. So Matt, let's talk about Overwatch 2. And I think the best way to start this off is to get everyone up to speed with their new plan for Overwatch. One that, quite shockingly, no longer involves the PvE stuff being sold as a campaign.
Yeah, that's certainly a move that I think puts a little bit of fear into some people, but also is like, well, at least they're not trying to sell you stuff. At least it's part of the free-to-play model.
Well, I think they've actually heard some feedback and probably clocked on to what makes sense themselves. People have generally said, why the hell did you do Overwatch 2? This looks like a transparent scheme to just charge everyone $60 to buy a game again. Why is this just not a live game where we keep on getting shit? And I think you hear to what, or listen to what Bobby Kotick would have said in the past about Call of Duty, where they were basically like, nah, look at all these box sales. This is awesome. Let's have both. Yeah. And now we're maybe seeing some changes here. So in one way, this is good, and then it means that people will be getting more content sooner. In another way, it's a deviation from a plan. I think a plan that a lot of people really didn't appreciate at all. So the game's coming out October 4th. It will release in what's going to be labeled as early access across, of course, PC, then the old consoles, the new consoles, and the Nintendo Switch with cross-platform play and progression, and it will be absolutely free on all systems. You might then think, well, how are they going to make money? Is it loot boxes again? Well, turns out no. They're doing seasons. Seasonal model. Yeah. And they actually plan to be updating the game with content on a per-season basis, and these seasons are only 9 weeks long. So, in the best case scenario, this basically means that if you're an Overwatch 2 player, every 2 and a bit months, you are going to get something. Yeah,
which is, absolutely perfect on paper, but obviously has its tremendous downsides as well when you look at basically any of the other games that have adopted the seasonal model well ahead of time, well ahead of this, and they have kind of their reps in, right? So you look at the likes of Apex, you look at the likes of Fortnite, they've done this and they've realized that's not very long to make content.
So Epic Games, they had an entire crunch sort of drama happen because of just feeding the Fortnite machine. And then with Apex, it was kind of interesting because they basically said, no, we're actually going to slow down to go fast. It's the only way we can sustainably make this game. Yet apparently Blizzard are here basically going hyper aggressive because, 9 weeks for a season? You look at a Halo Infinite season, they're supposed to be 3 months. In reality, they're 6. Right? So that's quite a lot. Now, what they're saying for the overview is free-to-play live service with a seasonal model, cross-progression, PvP reimagined in the 5v5 format, and PvE experiences that will push the story forward beginning in 2023. Yeah. Meaning, there's 2 ways of looking at this, right? Way number 1. The PvE stuff just was not clicking together to the point where they would have enough content to sell as Overwatch 2, the big, super exciting PvE experience. Therefore, because they cannot achieve that and they cannot, sell us that, they roll into the live service to hopefully make the entire thing a more cohesive package. Another way is maybe they just have realized that that's not really the model for today. That's maybe not what's going to be healthiest for Overwatch 2 overall. Because if we think about it, just prioritizing big $60 releases is what damaged Overwatch so much. So no matter what the reason, I actually think that this is better for how this game is as a community and how it will evolve. You could drop the whole campaign at once, but the way the dynamics of the Overwatch community work is they hang on every tiny little detail they get. So if I was in Blizzard's position here, of course I would maybe do a PvE thing every 2 months, or, because I'm assuming they have a whole bunch in the bank from all of the Overwatch 2 developments.
You would hope so, at least.
You would hope so. But you do that, and that would keep the community engaged. It would keep them talking. Maybe every second season, maybe every season, whatever, has a little bit of PvE. you can see how that would make the whole just live game experience a hell of a lot more robust.
Yeah, and you can see why Activision Blizzard would make that decision based on how Vanguard sold and based on how World of Warcraft, no, Call of Duty's going with Warzone, kind of being where a lot of their effort is now, a lot of where their success is now is in the live servicification of everything, which, to be fair, is kind of the true of basically everyone else in the industry. So it's a little interesting that it's taken them so long to kind of go, wait, why were we trying to sell a box product?
Yeah, and this is a funny thing, because I think if you talk to a bunch of the people who play Overwatch all the time, they would probably prefer this. Yet, of course, in the rest of the games industry, you hear live service and you think, oh, hell no, I don't want this. But I think if you go and ask an Apex player, they're going to be pretty happy that their game is a live service game. You know, the amount of content they get, all the new maps and all of that stuff, they don't have to pay for it. They just do the skins if they want to.
Yeah, well,
I think for those people, it actually works quite well. I think where we get frustrated with live services is where they're kind of shoehorned, where they don't particularly belong, and where we see a whole bunch of very clear downsides. So really the onus is on Blizzard to give us all the upsides of this business model, not the downsides.
Yeah, I think that's where the whole live certification thing has kind of gotten, where we now understand that it is not easy to do. From a development standpoint, it is difficult to get good content on a schedule fairly regularly. Everything that can, like all of the games that are successful there, feel like exceptions or feel like outliers, as opposed to the massive amount of games that kind of try it and don't really get anywhere. So, like you say, it is on them to actually do it this time. But I guess that's the thing. In the world where Overwatch 2 didn't happen and they just continually updated Overwatch, would we be at this point? Or is there something else going on? Is there something really just slow about the progress? Hard to tell, I guess.
Yeah. And just a little bit for the transition. The last time Overwatch got a hero was Echo, April 14th, 2020. It's going to be over, 2.5 years? Yeah. Around 2.5 years. That's how long they will have waited since getting a hero, which is quite something. And actually, 2 years to the date after they announced Sojourn. Which is kind of funny. And this is a overall content cadence that is rough. It's rough when you compare it to other live services games like an Apex Legends, a Valorant, Rainbow Six Siege. And that just means that people's expectations are different. So they've had 11 post-launch heroes from 2016 to 2022. They've had 21 post-release maps from 2016 to 2022. But that is split across all game modes, and does include some of the, isn't it, sort of deathmatchy style ones?
Yeah.
And overall, this cadence, I don't have the number in my head right now, but the comparison of the number of champions made in Valorant compared to Overwatch in the same time frame. Crazy. Now, in fairness, with Valorant, they do have fewer abilities to make, but I think there's definitely a argument to be made for the smallest thing makes the most difference in a game like Valorant.
Yeah.
But overall, that is the community perception, and it's one that Blizzard are aware of. Mike Ybarra just tweeted saying, "We realize our content and communications has missed expectations. That changes going forward," and he said that back in March. And perhaps we are actually seeing some of that actually happen now, where even recently I've said this is the beginning of an always-on, always-evolving era for the franchise, and a recommitment to serving players with frequent, substantial updates planned well into the future. Look, if we can get the opposite of what Overwatch was, that'd be great. I think what happened is everyone clowns in Overwatch now. Clowns in Blizzard, obviously with all the bad things that have happened at Blizzard. Probably worth noting, supposedly the Overwatch team was one of the most insulated from the bad things at Blizzard teams.
Yeah, and a lot of that seems to be down to Kaplan running a really tight and clean ship there.
Yeah, so that's that's at least one good thing, I suppose. But yeah, a world where Overwatch just continually got that support, and where the initial kind of wave of everyone, the whole internet was happy with Overwatch.
Yeah, it was.
If that had have just continued because the game was supported, obviously the ship would have still sank whenever Blizzard's allegations, etc. came out. But we would just have a different position that we're going into this.
Yeah,
I think there's just so much more skepticism and a feeling of a lack of trust. Blizzard needs to earn something back with this release.
Yeah, because Overwatch launch was a completely different era for Blizzard. That was the era of Blizzard do have something left in the tank, because people were kind of doubting them for a decent while, and then they went, here's World of Warcraft Legion, here's Overwatch, we are Blizzard, we can make good shit. And then after that,
Legacy of the Void was in a similar-ish time?
Yeah, I think so, around that time. It was just, and I guess it's there's almost an ebb and flow to Blizzard, where Obviously, there's a very, very major ebb for the longest time there. But there's a little bit, you can almost feel a little bit of flow with them coming back and going, Diablo 4, Overwatch 2. We have other games coming, I think, I hope.
It's crazy. Like, they have a major release every single quarter for the next calendar year. And that's like a major product release, not just an update. Like, that's kind of crazy. So when we actually go into what Overwatch 2 looks like then. So October 4th is when Season 1 starts. With that, we get 3 new heroes, 6 new maps, 30 plus skins, a new battle pass, a new mythic skin, and a new game mode. 9 weeks later, December 6th, we have a new tank hero, a new map, 30 plus skins, a new battle pass, another new mythic skin. These skins, I mean, man, the Overwatch community goes absolutely crazy for them. And then, of course, for future seasons, they're just saying the same. It's heroes, maps, skins, battle passes, modes, and PvE. So it'll be interesting to see how they do the battle pass. A lot of them will put enough credits in the battle pass that you can earn the next battle pass. So for a lot of people, that just ends up being a thing where you can just sort of dedicated, just play a whole hell of a lot of the game. So for a lot of people, those battle passes just end up being a new bunch of rewards that they can earn when they just continue playing the game the way that they always would. I suppose in a way that is kind of similar to Overwatch 1, level up, get a loot box, open the box, level, keep on doing that. Or if you are kind of have a different valuation of money to the rest of us, just swipe for a bunch of them. But seeing that there's no loot boxes is certainly good.
Yeah, I think, well, that's the kind of thing where that's clearly a win, right?
Yeah.
Because loot boxes are terrible gambling creatures that should have been destroyed as soon as they reared their ugly head. But that was kind of a little bit on the wall. There was no way they were going to put loot boxes back in, not considering it would have to not release their game in 2 countries in Europe. And then also that, like, obviously that legislative push might grow. So that was kind of coming where it wasn't going to be the case. So it's now like, okay, well, what are they going to do? Because that was obviously a lot of money for them. There's no doubt in hell that they just did make millions and millions off of Overwatch at launch and continuing. And that's how they made so much money whenever it came to skin releases and stuff like that. It's like, oh yeah, we'll go and get loot boxes for it.
Yeah.
And then get enough loot boxes at a really, really bad conversion rate into credits you can lock it with. But now they have to be a little bit more kind of, playing ball fairly.
Yeah,
they can't really abuse people so much.
Fascinating, though, is that a free player could still get every single skin in the game, I suppose, if they were lucky, and maybe not the one that they wanted. But they would kind of like still get that rush of the loot boxes.
Yeah.
And they'd still access those items. Now, if some of those items are only in the store, you can actually find that to an average, very dedicated Overwatch player, they might be thinking like, oh, so now I have to buy the battle pass and I don't get skins whatsoever. Which then is like a really funny situation, because obviously we're completely against loot boxes because that's Blizzard selling you the chance of something, not selling you something. And I think a healthy economy is one where people offer things for purchase and then we purchase the thing that we want. So that's why a store is fundamentally better. But then you get into the Halo situation where, okay, Halo Infinite's now free to play, but now so much more of the character customization is on the store and a whole bunch of concessions have been made. And for the people who would have bought Halo anyway, it now feels really bad.
Yeah, because
that's what it's like for me. I'd pay money for Halo in a heartbeat.
Yeah, but that's because they have to sell you the experience that you aren't buying. They have to sell that to you in piecemeal and at a higher rate of return for them.
Yeah.
Speaking.
So with this, I think there needs to be a way that the free battle pass is containing some currency. There basically needs to be a way that a average Overwatch player, it's probably unreasonable to expect them to get all the skins without paying. Sure, that's fair. That's the business model. But if there's a skin they really want, I think there probably should be a way for them to earn that via gameplay. Maybe they do that with currencies or something like that, but it can't be too ridiculous. This needs to feel like a complete upgrade to Overwatch 1.
And that's where you're going to run into the issues of how hard are they going to monetize that, because they do have to. I mean, obviously, a lot of Overwatch's initial sales paid for its initial development and then its continued development, and then loot boxes paid for that. But someone has to pay for this. Someone has to pay for a tripled team size that's going to be releasing content every 9 weeks, which is obviously that's going to come with a lot of overtime. That's going to come with a lot of crunch. Yeah, they said they've effectively tripled their team size from the initial Overwatch. As to whether that's full-time employees or contractors is a bit of a dodgy topic today with how treatment of things in the industry works.
Well, if it's labor hours spent in the game.
Yeah, but that's kind of the thing of, someone has to pay for it. So I mean, from my perspective, I'm looking going, okay, well, do I trust them to make a better experience for everyone that's going to be less heavily monetized, or are they just going to try to dress up a very heavily monetized system a little bit nicer?
Yeah. Now, there is one thing which, to be honest, if we were chasing views, we probably should have said this at the very start of the video, because it is the spicy thing. It's the 9-week-long Battle Pass. It's actually something Call of Duty does, and it's almost closer to mobile games where the Battle Pass is just straight up a month most of the time, and they really want the money. So we're going to get into the Battle Pass soon, because if it is very similar to Call of Duty, then we can lean on some of our team's knowledge, which is going to be interesting. Other things, though. So they announced Junker Queen, new tank character. They then updated us on their hero release cadence. And actually, this is kind of exciting. So, a new hero every second season.
Every 18 weeks then?
Every 18 weeks there's a new hero. And I think for a game like this, a new hero is pretty fucking impactful.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then there's maps in between. So...
Seems good on paper?
On paper, yeah. Legit, straight up, great. If Overwatch 1 had this, imagine how happy we'd all be. I guess that's what AAA team size is going to get you. Now, the PvE experience has been confirmed as part of the live service rather than a full paid campaign, so maybe kind of like the Overwatch Archives thing that they did in the past, but beefed up a lot more, and the earliest possible start date could be February 7th. Another interesting thing, which I think is important because the game is now free-to-play, is the tying of phone numbers to a Battle.net account, which... I think is just a thing that in a free-to-play game, especially a free-to-play PvP game, that can help against, Smurfs, hackers, things like that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You got to preserve the integrity of the experience.
Yeah, back, I guess a good couple of years ago, this would have been a pretty negative point overall. People go, what do you mean? Oh, you want my data? Go fuck yourself. But now it's very much the case of everyone knows this is... In an ideal world, would we have to put our phone number here? No. But does this stop this game from falling to the absolute dogs? Absolutely.
Yeah. Let's talk about money. That's what we do here. We talk about money. So, money. Right. No loot boxes. New seasonal content every 9 weeks. The boxes are dead, which then means that there is going to be the innovations of a shop with a rotating selection that uses Overwatch 2 virtual currency and a free/premium battle pass model. This is actually highly similar to Call of Duty, where you have a battle pass and then you have a store where you can just buy some stuff. So, progression pacing on a 9-week battle pass is going to be something that will be very important to player satisfaction, because within those 9 weeks, there will be 100 tiers of battle pass to earn, right? Now, there's implications from this. This essentially is the same model as Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is heavily emphasizing daily play of the core modes with no breaks. And this is great because Connell, who's editing this video, is a Call of Duty man, and that means he's really experienced with the types of ways that they do this stuff, so we can kind of lean in his experience here. So if it's following exactly the same model as COD, then real-time-based experience boosts, they are making an appearance.
They're in there in the working free battle pass as a reward.
Yeah.
In there, so that's the kind of thing of, set aside a couple hours to get, or maybe 2 hours, 1.5 to get maximum use of this experience boost.
Now, if there's 63 days in a season, then you need to earn 1.6 tiers a day in order to hit the end of the battle pass.
Yeah, so based on what Colin and I were talking about before this, and Connor as well, that means that because they haven't announced it, right? Obviously, Halo's battle passes don't expire. You buy that battle pass, you can do with it whatever you want later on. You're not kind of forced into finishing it before the time. There's no FOMO element there. But they haven't announced that, and the Call of Duty one expires at the end of the season, so everyone's kind of assuming it's just the same, where we'll just, you bought this, but you haven't completed it in 9 weeks, sorry, it's gone. And based on a little bit of Connell's testing in terms of what the kind of experience gain rate is on the Battle Pass in Call of Duty, and this is assuming that they're going to use that same model, because they've got all the same telemetry, they're the same company, they're going to go, well, this works here, it's going to work here. There are obviously some changes, obviously substantial differences in how the games are played, but ultimately it boils down to, you're looking at, and this is the ideal circumstance, this is playing a high value game mode and performing well, you're looking at about 2 hours a day on average to finish that out. Maybe an hour and a half if you're a little bit lucky, and that's in game time, not in queue time, not in waiting about. So that could be faster or it could be slower, but it's very much like in Call of Duty, very much you put a lot of time into our game, you put at least, it was like 14 hours a week then, into our game in ideal circumstances to get this. Or, you could just buy the rest of the battle pass with they have COD points there, like they have Overwatch 2 virtual currency, which is a great name for it. It's just virtual currency. Maybe they'll rebrand that before launch, but it's all kind of a little bit that same level of, okay, you're making me play for the battle pass. I have to finish this battle pass. But if you don't have the time, you spend your money instead, because time is money is the paradigm that all these games work on.
So if there's anything I would say, do what Halo did.
Yeah.
Make the premium battle pass not expire. That is how you ensure that you are definitely selling somebody something that is not being taken away. Right?
Yeah,
so
you can't do that. Like, you can't just sell someone something and then take it away. Obviously you can, but
you gotta do what Halo Infinite does, my dudes.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a Microsoft game as well, which is what Overwatch will be when the deal goes through.
Yeah, right
so,
enough.
you're going to kind of have egg in your face whenever Master Chief is sitting there with a far more player-friendly battle pass than you guys have.
Yeah.
Now, that said, with the Chief, his battle passes now, unfortunately, do seem to last 6 months, so a little bit more attainable for the average player.
Yeah.
Now, one of my big questions is what's going on with the Overwatch 1 cosmetics. I'm not 100% sure, but Overwatch 2 does include all the original Overwatch 1 cosmetics, plus new things like gun charms.
Yeah.
A few which kind of look like Funkos as well. And then there's also mythic skins. So these are customizable cosmetic skins that are being designed for each hero. There's going to be one in each of the first 2 seasons. The first one's for Genji. So basically the idea then is you get this skin and you can actually customize it in a few different ways. I think that's really cool. Because if you're going to do a cosmetic thing like this, at the very least, make it as good as you can.
Yeah, that's the thing that people have obviously it was a little bit the thin end of the wedge in a way, but obviously League of Legends comes out and everyone's like, well, this is free to play and you can spend a lot of money in it. And everyone's going, yeah, you can spend a lot of money in it, and especially as time went on, instead of the early shitty recolors, skins were really a bunch of effort. That's where they knew they were getting their money from. So they put a ton of effort into them, and they started charging a substantial amount for the ultimate skins, but they were kind of big. They were kind of, it's hard to say worth it, but they certainly felt it. They're like, this is really a transformational thing that, as a player of this free-to-play game, I am completely happy to buy because that shows my support, and I'm paying for the game. And that's the stuff where, if they can hold to that, if they can hold to this super friendly model of, hey, would you like to buy cosmetics to support the game? That's what basically all of the games that people actually kind of do.
Yeah. So, okay, there's been an interview with the Overwatch commercial lead, John Spector, and a lot of good info here, actually. So, time for you guys to learn a little bit more. So, he basically said, we know that you stopped because you wanted more content and it wasn't there, so they're geared up to meet those new player expectations. They were pushed in this by Fanbyte on basically, the issue of crunch and stuff like that, and they basically just said that they've taken a bunch of issues there, that they're over 3 times the team size than when the game first launched. They're restructuring parts of the team so they can work on multiple heroes at one time, multiple maps, in one time, while still being able to look at the bigger features like the PvE. He also said on top of personnel, they've prepared for the new season model by making under-the-hood changes to ease the workflow. And this is like a super, super important thing, like in games development. Here's like a really simple example, right? If we were to make a game that was exactly like The Pale Beyond again, now that we understand the workflow for The Pale Beyond, maybe we'd be able to make it in half the time and budget.
Yeah, of course.
That's just how it is. So, because now our workflow is fucking awesome. So, just like that with them, once their workflow is super awesome, then there are ways, it's way more possible to do these things. And it's not just like technical workflow as well. It's also things just like, how is the team ran? Are things done in such a way that you can easily plug in some outsourced talent to complete a skin in a way that's just very plug in, plug out, right? Not that disruptive. So these things are important. This apparently is a big focus with their updated engine and their updated development tools. Here's a really good example. I can't name any names, but I know of so many companies where you essentially have a phenomenon happen, right? Where all the programmers, and me and Matt are programmers by trade, so we know the field, but they're sitting there with their own custom engine. These are big companies that you've definitely heard of, but they have their own custom engine. And all the programmers just want to stay in their own custom engine because it's awesome. It is specific to what they do. It's their baby. They love it. And then you actually have the artists, the game designers, the people who are working in the front end. They're just being like, can we can we please use Unreal? Please. Please. The editor's really nice. So obviously, they're still using the Overwatch engine, but the development time has probably went into making the actual, frontline staff workflow be way nicer. So that's really important too. So there's just a few things in workflow and stuff. I think it's just pretty obvious. They really do know why people stop playing the game.
Yeah, they're definitely really talking the good talk on all of this front. And it's like, it's a shame they didn't say something like this like a year or so ago. But I guess that's the whole thing about Blizzard PR, like I guess modern media PR, where you don't want to admit, hey, we can't do this yet, we're holding on to get this done. But it would have been a great bit of PR, and hopefully that's what Mike Ibarra talks about when he earlier said, hey, there's going to be a new era for this stuff. Because the idea of them going, hey, listen, we made this game a bit too fast, right? When we got it over the line, we were exhausted. We finished a sprint. We weren't prepared for the marathon of making content for you guys. So we're going to take the next 6 months. This is going to sting. We're going to have a little bit less content. We're going to work on our back-end processes so that we're faster at making content. We're not going to be making content, but we're going to get faster at making it so that in a year from now, we will be able to bring you something every, say, 2 months.
Minor counterpoint.
Yeah.
Halo Infinite is currently doing that publicly.
That's true, yeah.
And they have a core bunch of people who are just being like, all right, I get it. You guys are probably put in a really shitty situation. You're trying hard, fair play.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are just thinking at the end of the day, you're all asking me to spend my very limited amount of time. I have to go to the people who are showing up with the content.
Yeah, where's my game? Yeah.
Now, that said, speaking of showing up with the content, how about showing up with a deal?
Yeah, it's a great deal.
With a purchase. All right, you want to buy some beta access? You can. Now, this is a sort of strange thing where, like, many companies do this.
Yeah,
many companies do this. I think there's just something about Blizzard doing it that makes people feel just a little bit more iffy because they hadn't traditionally done it before, and they're a company that now carries so much more baggage and so much more of a perception of, like, big corporatism than would have happened before. What they're doing is the Watchpoint Pack. So you can pay for the Overwatch 1 Legendary Edition, a premium battle pass, 2 new legendary skins, 2,000 Overwatch virtual currency, an exclusive early purchase Overwatch 2 icon, Big Pog, and of course guaranteed access to the Overwatch 2 beta that starts on June 28th.
Yeah, so if
yeah. Well, the but then is that they later in their FAQ say, our goal is to provide access to all players that opt into the beta by no later than July 14th. So you get what?
2 weeks.
Two and a bit weeks early.
Yeah. Also, if you were paying attention and you did kind of double take at pay for Overwatch 1 Legendary Edition, yeah.
Well, if you already have that.
If you want to buy beta access to Overwatch 2, which I'm assuming the majority of people who want that will be people who like Overwatch 1. And to like Overwatch 1, ostensibly you would assume you have to own it, because that's how it works. Yeah, sorry, you have to buy it again. If you want into the beta 2.5 weeks early, which you probably will because you're a dedicated Overwatch fan. So we were talking about, they want to get the boxed price of an Overwatch 2. That's why they are making Overwatch 2. They want the full box price. They're getting it without having to do any of that. Because I think that's the one thing that kind of, a lot of, especially people who were super engaged with Lost Ark in its beta kind of realized. For a free-to-play game they were getting, and to be fair, Lost Arks were like a fairly cheap unless you went for the really expensive one. But you can get a box price for a free-to-play game. You won't get as many sales, but you can, especially if you're a big ticket item like this. You can just go, give us the 35 quid, because people will, because that's a promise of value later.
Dude, the Steam charts in and around Lost Ark.
Yeah.
It was all Lost Ark, free game.
Yep.
So that's a very, very true point. Now, as for how the players of Overwatch 1 are being thanked, well, you're getting the Founders Pack that includes a General Doomfist skin and a Jester Sombra skin.
Yeah,
we would point out, though, that these are actually fairly generic skins, but they're also for 2 of the lowest pick rate heroes in the game.
Well, yeah, that's, to be fair, that is Overwatch 1 pick rates,
yes.
And Doomfist has got a full rework, and he's the only character I ever actually saw being played in Overwatch 2 beta, so that might change. But I did also see people point out Jester Sombra for Overwatch 1 players. What are you trying to say, Blizzard? Trying to call Overwatch 1 players clowns? Because you might sort of, based on how they've treated them so far, that would make sense.
Oh, let's go conspiracy mode.
Yeah.
And of course, let us not forget The exclusive Founders icon.
Hell yeah.
Okay. So this pack's only available until December. And look, it's the kind of thing where for the 2,000 credits and the Battle Pass and stuff like that, for an individual who's probably going to play a whole bunch of Overwatch 2, that probably does make a bunch of financial sense. However, they don't know whether they will want those things yet because the game ain't out.
Yeah.
Right, community reactions then. Looks good. Not a dead game.
Hopefully.
That's useful. I'd say overall, a pretty happy community. Some people certainly, thinking about the Overwatch, the Watch Point pack, just like maybe a bit of a no.
Yeah, that's just don't like that.
Because you can wait 2 weeks. Yeah. So it's the sort of thing where maybe people like us, if we really want to guaranteed get in there on day one so that we can provide some content and give you our first impressions, that might be a thing we'll kind of have to do for it's fine, we'll expense it. But I think we would say you can wait the 2 weeks and you can play it for free. And look, even if you then decide because you enjoy the beta so much that you want to get the credits and the stuff, maybe then buy it, but try the game first. At the very least.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly what this Reddit reply was saying. With the information we've got, we can't determine it's a good deal. We don't know how much the Battle Pass will cost. We don't know how much 2,000 currency is. We know the Legendary Edition is kind of worthless at this point. It's like...
Yeah.
2,000 currency, that could be... Because it's a virtual currency, it's not, here's $10 worth of Overwatch 2 VC. I guess is what they'll call it. It's just, no, here's an arbitrary number that we've made up in our heads.
Yeah. And you also, can't be sure that you'll even be able to, finish the Battle Pass or if it will expire or not. So you don't know what you're getting yet. So they really do need to answer a few of these questions. I guess where I would leave this overall is a lot of people really want to like Overwatch. Blizzard made it very hard to like Overwatch. I think Activision Blizzard leadership made that hard. Kaplan probably did everything that he could. Yeah. It's at least heartening to know that apparently that team was more insulated from the bullshit than others. It does seem, per what Tracy Kennedy said, that Bobby Kotick did do a lot of interfering with Overwatch 1. I think especially around stuff that was tied to the league. I've at least some, at a time I was made to understand that there was a lot of disruptions going on, that it was quite shitty. So if this means that people who love Overwatch, who have had this fucking hole in their heart because you go to play other games, and for a lot of people, let's just say you really enjoy playing Winston and Mercy. Okay, Valorant's a hero shooter, but you're not going to like it because it's more like CSGO. So there's a humongous number of people who have been completely underserved. Now they are going to be served by this game. And if they're getting a new hero, 5 times a year? Yeah. 5 new heroes a year, way more maps, PvE with a narrative that... to be honest, I think it's kind of done. I think their narrative is pretty thin. And it very much relies on most of the work being done by the community, which I guess is a way you can do narrative in a live game. Certainly Apex Legends actually does a pretty good job of that by all accounts.
I think it's been joked with me that Apex has managed to get over a year of narrative out of one love triangle, and that sort of actually worked for them. So yeah, I think they could maybe get something similar.
The point is the people actually want that.
Yeah.
Right, so this is a bunch of shit that people have wanted. It sucks that it's coming late. But it's good there's no loot boxes. It's good that the business model, while the Battle Pass may end up being funky, overall it does seem mostly like a business model where you are going to be presented with value that you can purchase other than being presented with a chance of value. Or, this box has an average amount of value. Who knows if you'll get it? That is significantly better. So I think this is essentially a win on all counts. I remember...
With a couple asterisks.
Yeah. I at least remember really loving Overwatch when it came out.
I did for a while, and then you get into the ranked grind and then realize, what am I doing with my life? And then go play something else.
Sure, but that happens in any game where you maybe get disillusioned from it. And I started to enjoy Overwatch less whenever it was just this super tank and support focused meta where the game was pretty slow and it was all just big alt bombs, and that's just how it was played. I remember trying to watch Overwatch League during that meta, and it was so boring. And while the way that they've changed it to 5v5 may not appeal to everyone, I at least think that as somebody who kind of wants to be a decently high skill player who could carry, that's an aspiration, not a statement of fact. I'm shit. that just seems to be the sort of thing I could enjoy more. So honestly,
Yeah.
for me, this is like almost a win in all counts.
Yeah, the only kind of, I guess there's 2 points I would want to kind of just really end on to go, there's basically the asterisks I talked about. It's the ambition for this content cadence seems to be completely pulled out of their ass in terms of proof being in the pudding, where they say here's content every 9 weeks. Can they do that? Obviously, you would hope that if they're saying they will, that they have the capacity for it. But how sustainable is that? And I think that's the question. Will they do this for maybe 3 or 4 seasons? That would actually be pretty good, honestly. Will they do it for 3 or 4 seasons, hit one roadblock, and then it all just tumbles apart because they have this like super solid, super fast plan? Will they have the ability to do what Apex did and go, listen, we're actually literally working our teams too hard. We need to pull a little bit back, change this to a 3 or 4 month cycle, and then we'll continue that. Will they have the humility to do that?
Their response to you is, we tripled the size of the team and our pipeline's way better. We can do it.
Yeah.
So at that point, we just need to wait and see.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to think they're not talking out of their arse. They've certainly taken enough time. I would hope that that's enough time to actually increase the skills, the team size in a way that actually does equal production capacity, because if you scale up too fast, everything falls to shit. Exactly. So I assume they haven't done that. I assume they have truly made improvements to their workflow. So look, if they've done that well, then why not? Yeah. Unlike Call of Duty, they don't have to make a new Call of Duty every year, like a fresh game. They don't need to maintain Warzone on top of that and have them be linked. This is just them working on one live product. That certainly is a lot easier than the multi-studio crazy challenge that's been thrown at Call of Duty. So
yeah,
I don't see any reason why they can't do it. Not Valve, Riot are doing a pretty decent job at Valorant.
That's true.
And that's a game where you move a wall slightly to the left and you've broken a map, because it's just so precise in that sort of CS or Counter-Strike style shooter.
Yeah,
I think they can do it. No, I think they can do it, and I really hope they do. It's the sort of thing where it's very, I don't know, I kind of speak this to myself and to you and to the audience.
Yeah.
It's very easy to allow the cynicism of things to just have us always assume doom. Now, never fall into, IGN, Titanfall 1, believe the hype. Never fall into that, obviously. But also, if we can't allow ourselves to be vaguely hopeful about something or vaguely excited about something, then why are we, never really going to enjoy games? That, does that not put us in a weird mindset where the only thing we can do is just go back to the same old ARPG we've been playing for 85 years and just play it 90 hours a week and have, gaming be a tiny thing with no breadth of experience, right? So hopefully they pull it off.
Yeah, sure, hope so too.
Because we don't, it's like, what's the Jake Gyllenhaal movie, Nightcrawler?
Oh yeah.
It's you don't want to, you're not supposed to be like him.
No. Yeah, if anyone watched that movie and thought that's a really cool aspiration, you completely missed the point. I'm sorry.
But it's very easy.
Yeah.
For gaming news coverage to just become ambulance chasing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I hope it goes well.
Same.
It would certainly be a hell of a lot better for people who like Overwatch and haven't got it. There's no point wishing bad on them. So, good luck, Overwatch team. Hope it's good. I'd like to play it.
So would I.
Yeah, I want to become a sweaty, toxic Genji player again. I want to watch...
That's always you.
What was it? Seagull? Was it Seagull or
Yeah,
Penguin?
Seagull.
It was Seagull.
Yeah.
I want to watch stupid Seagull compilations and think, wow, look at him. I wish I could do that. And then log in and embarrass myself for a few hours.
Perfect.
Fun shit. Okay, that's Overwatch 2. We'll let you know what things are like when we've played the beta. See you next time.